we're going to have a look at, technically it's our Indie of the Week. It's a bit of a revamp because Sarissa Precision kindly threw out some prizes to us. So, considering it is the month of TerrainFest, and they decided to give us some prizes for TerrainFest, we thought it would be a great time to have a look at what exactly you can get from Sarissa in the Indie of the Week. Redux. Not the only Redux you'll see on the show. So, people will probably be aware that Sarissa do a whole slew of MDF terrain. We've been here before. We've looked at it before. You can see 4028 2015. I remember when I first got Sarissa, and it wasn't this website, it was the original .co.uk, and all they sold was movement trays and bases.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where I first came across them. Oh my, how they've grown.
Yeah.
It's been so beautiful watching them grow up over the years. Anyway, yeah, you can get in and you can grab bits and pieces that will fit whatever game you're playing, whether it's a large scale thing. So 40mm would obviously be perfect for Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's that ridiculous size. Yeah. Well, that's true, yeah, because Batman is theoretically
35,
30 something. Yeah,
you need to be painting that a lot darker, grimmer.
Oh yeah, empty a pot of earth shade over it.
No, you still paint it like this, but you just play with the lights out.
Oh, that's true.
So hang on, you want to do it like the Clooney one? Just put some UV paint over everything as well?
That'd be cool.
That would work. Well, to be fair, the way Batman works is it's all based on everything's in dark because it's always at night, and there are street lights, and you only get bonuses if you're actually lit by something. So you could just have some little LED tea light stuck on things, just barely illuminating the board.
That could be interesting.
And then the rest of the time is just spent knocking into stuff, swearing, and then putting the lights on so you can pick up your tower again.
I do like that it's not just the buildings we're seeing here, because if you are playing Marvel Crisis Protocol, you can pick stuff up and throw it at each other. So having those ancillary bits that are in a similar style, really nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, beating somebody to death with the armored truck is a great way of doing it.
Yeah, Hulk smash.
Hulk smash, yeah.
Hulk doesn't
why are there two Doc Ocks in this picture?
Same reason there are two Ultrons in that picture, because these are multiple pictures put together.
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
Yeah, fair. We are getting into that.
That is the bundle. Anyway, so yeah, they do a terrific range of a whole host of buildings at various scales. We know that. We've been here. We love that. What we didn't really look at last time, and what I want to have a look at today, are there sort of ancillary bits and pieces. So Sarissa do a lot of other things to help you when you're doing your terrain, including the likes of their stenciling systems.
Oh, nice.
We'll see these in a bit more detail in a little while in another product they do. But I know some people look at these and think, well, what am I going to use those for? Or they're good for doing sides of buildings or doing specific things, but I don't have an airbrush or I don't have an X. Well, I've seen them being used with a brush, but one of the most impressive things I've seen was actually in our project system by Pete. And Pete had got his hands on a set of brick and stone stencils, things like this. And then he took the MDF building that he was putting together, which was like a farmhouse or a cottage, put this over the top, and then used pre-mixed plaster, so polyfiller, spackle if you're in the US, that sort of thing, pushed it across, and then peeled the stencil off. And the stencils are a hard-wearing plasticky laminar thing, which means you can clean them very easily. You just wet them down, scrub them off, but it left raised stone texture on nice. MDF.
Very cool.
That is a example of using these stencils, which I think is absolutely spot on, because yes, you can just go for the simple, I'll stick it up alongside it and spray it or brush it or sponge it, whatever, to get the pattern, but actually using it to get a raised texture of brickwork and of stonework.
That's cool.
Was really, really nice.
Yeah, now you're thinking with portals.
That type of thing, because they do have, obviously, a large variety from sci-fi and industrial, hazard markings, road markings, which is perfect for if you've got various types of road typey things to lay down. However, another thing they're absolutely cracking for is, and I've done this on my bot war miniatures, is painting road markings on the bases so that you have the sense of scale of what they're on. So, a very simple way. Most plastic bases come with that texture on them.
Yeah.
Give it a quick black wash over a grey dry brush and then stencil on some road markings, and all of a sudden you've got tarmac, and it's taken you no time at all to do it. That is a lazy thing to do, and I love it to bits.
I was also thinking, you're saying about using that stencil on the wall of a building, but similarly to what you're saying here with basing, use it for making bases as well. As long as it's deep enough, that's... Well, I mean,
if
it doesn't matter.
If you use the spackle,
you get the very small rise. That's all you need.
Yeah. If you use the spackle for some of those manhole covers, I think you could get something very, very cool looking.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And you don't want it to be too heavily modulated.
No,
because then your model's going to balance or teeter-tot on the top of them in an unusual way. So
how nifty is that?
I mean, 100%. I'm stealing it, and that was my idea. You all heard me say it was my idea first.
Copyright Jerry 2023.
Yeah. Don't worry about Pete. He didn't do it. Wasn't him. And obviously there's a whole variety of actual real type stencils.
Really cool.
Which are a really neat way of branding buildings, especially if you've got a load of their old West stuff. So you can, write barber surgeon or saloon or whatever on the front of the building.
Yeah. Or if you're doing something like a military encampment, figure out some of their acronyms. So, mark out your mess hall and stuff.
Yeah.
Just write "Go away" in big white letters inside the wall.
No soldiers here, promise.
Promise. You leave now. Bye-bye.
See, I'd love to see more of those lettered ones in more different types of fonts, because I think you could also do some cool graffiti stuff with them.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will. Another thing they do is wallpaper, and also Sarissa have a variety of tutorials about their kits on their YouTube channel via the medium of March Attack, showing how they get used. And these are, again, a really simple but effective way of adding additional detail, especially on MDF kits that have grain or flat surfaces. So you might get some brickwork on the outside, but the interior doesn't have much. And you go, well, what am I going to do with the interior? Well, what if I instead decide to throw down some wallpaper and a couple of carpets? In fact, I think it shows the carpets in this one quite nicely. If I go to there. So, go ahead, he's glued the carpeting down the stairs as well, which is a sign of madness. But you just lay them out because that a dividing wall is going to go in there, and you know the outside wall, so you don't have to be hugely neat. He also goes into what grade of paper he's using. I think it's like an 80 gram paper, so it's relatively thin, but you can, just buy the cheapest paper you can out of your local big supermarket, Tesco's, Lidl's, whatever it happens to be, and you'll discover that it's probably 80 gram or less anyway. You don't want quality paper because quality paper's thick. Unless you're doing something specific, like maybe a throw rug. You should make some nice throw rugs, do some tasseling with the little pair of snips.
The other thing as well, because it's quite thin, if you're trying to make a distressed building as well, you can peel it back once you've got it on, so it'll look like it's been through the walls.
Oh yeah, just been through the waters. But goes into a lot of detail about actually. Most of us would just go stick it down and then just go cut, and then you end up with big bits in the corner and stuff. So the explanation of how you even cut it out, make sure that every time you're cutting from a corner, not into a corner, and then go in with an emery board or a file and just buff away the excess to hide it. It gives a really, really nice effect. Look at those awesome wallpapers. Wallpapering houses. I did this once for 15 mil years ago, and it was a pain in the backside to find wallpaper. I'm just saying. What was that? Second edition Flames of War, so 10 years, 12 years ago.
Something along those lines.
Trying to find 15 mil wallpaper or patterns that would look like wallpaper to put on the inside of a house was a pain in the backside. Anyway, so they've now done it, which means you can lay your hands on a whole slew of different digital packs. And every now and again, you'll see in here, there we go, there's one, little free packs. So free Roman mosaic, the paper signs for your Wild West buildings.
Well, that's just awesome.
We like you.
The mosaic ones are quite fun. And I'll tell you what I did with these myself, because I am, awesome like this. I did a jerry can ages ago about doing Ripley flags, putting a PDF or an image into something like Photoshop or Photopea, which is the free version that you can do in your browser, and then adding ripples to make it look like the cloth was bending.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did exactly the same thing with these, except I got pictures of speculative light on water, and then it rippled the tiling, and then I cut them out and put them in the bottom of little pools and fountains, and then just put a layer of gel over the top.
Nice.
So it looks like the water's reflecting the light across the bottom of the pool. I'm just saying, it looked great.
Nice.
Again, you'll never see those because I have no idea where I put them. They were in a box with a lot of Gangs of Rome stuff, which Lloyd is still refusing to build for me, by the way. People at home, you should really put that in the comments.
I've seen some lovely aspirational photos on the Sarissa homepage. It's just you need to get him looking at that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, even with the Wild West signage you have there, putting that onto like the side of even modern buildings and distressing it could look very good.
He could be building all of this for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so pretty.
And yet he's not built any of it. He's not built one. I've built more than he has. This is not rich.
How much do you own?
Lots.
Asking for a friend.
Quite a bit of it.
All right.
When they were releasing Gangs of Rome, they went, we'll sell you Rome for like 400 or 500 quid. And I went, yeah, just send me that then, please.
Shut up and take my money.
And then
I'm just saying Justin knows how to build MDF terrain really well. Maybe you should get Justin.
Silent your Ford!
Doing it.
But yeah. Within the rest of the sort of the range, then they also have tiling packs. So it's just things that you can do a little bit of extra detailing with, just to nudge your buildings up the next step. And if you're building a lot of scratch terrain, as I'm often want to do, sometimes you can build quite a lot out of foam core and balsa wood, and then just use things like this to push them. As if it looks like it's been a block kit then, so you're taking some of the stress out, and I'm not having to cut individual shingles out.
Yeah, avoiding the tedium of cutting roof tiles.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having to cut a million shingles.
But no, this is a cool idea for giving your HDF buildings a bit of a glow up.
100%. And speaking of, the other thing I want to draw people's attention to is the guide to making and painting laser cut MDF model kits. TM.
Very handy.
Which, if a company's going to do something book-wise, then, definitely stay in your lane. And they've just gone, what do we do? MDF kits. What do we want to do with them? Paint them. Okay, let's put that together. Now, as a weird coincidence, for the entire month of October, which is when that TerrainFest thing, what we are running is running, they've actually running this at half price. So you can pick up the PDF for a tenner, and I think you can pick up the book and PDF for the regular $18.99
cool.
Together. So that's throughout all of October. Nothing to do with us, but I'm claiming it because we're doing TerrainFest, and that's handy for terrain. So, bingo bongo, you put those things together, and what have you got? Us. That's what you have. And to give you a rough idea of what is in there, by rough, I mean, not that rough. I've got a copy.
Sneaky peek.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I particularly I'm starting with the forward, and I know most people skip these, but this speaks to the people behind Sarissa, and I just love it to bits because I have a sneaking suspicion we're of a similar breed and age. So when he was young and only 1 meter tall, museum and model shops were wonderful places. But as you get older and get further away from that feeling by getting taller, it's all about the same height as the TV. It was a bit of a dull affair until Captain Scarlet and Thunderbirds came on. So the writing style in and of itself is a very tongue-in-cheek and a bit of a delight just to read through where they were coming from and how they got there. However, get there they did, and in a big way. So after our foreword, they go into some fantastic detail about things. So this book is 130 odd pages long.
Wow. Okay.
So it doesn't skimp. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes people, especially if all they've been working on is plastic, a lot of the new generation of gamers have come in via the medium of things like Games Workshop, where every kit is plastic, miniatures are plastic, buildings are plastic, trees are plastic these days. It just all is. And then they suddenly branch out into other things and then come across resin and metal and MDF. And there's the fear. This will take the fear and kick it squarely in the nuts. So it goes through everything that you may need, may want, don't really need, might be handy, from glues up. So what the glues are, how they work, which are best, various tools that you may want to get your hands on, how you can use them, all the different types of paints, applications and sprays, and even
talking about pens for making sure you can line things when you need to get rid of the wood and stuff.
I do remember I did have a youngster in the store one day turning to me and saying, "Yeah, I bought some metal miniatures, but my glue's not sticking it together." And I was like, "What glue are you using?" This. And he held up a pot of plastic cement, and it's just like,
yeah, you know. If they don't know any better.
Oh, I know.
Because it doesn't say plastic cement or plastic glue, it just says glue from GW these days. They took all the other names away, so as not to confuse people.
Look tight, lad.
Yeah. But yeah, after that, I mean, like I say, there's a whole slew of stuff here, from 2 basic guides, one painting it all with a brush, one painting it all with sprays, and then after that you can get into some more not complicated, but
slightly more technical
stuff that's broken down a variety of ways, like how to do planks, how to do different effects. That might be handy for somebody who's painting a load of Wild West stuff in the not too distant future. Don't know who that could be, and it could be anyone at all who wants to paint some Wild West buildings who've got a lot of planks on them. So I mean, it's great. If we skip on, like I said, we would revisit this. I'll have a look at stencils. So we're not going to go through the whole thing, but here they have a text section on using their stencils. And these are, like I say, this is how you would expect to use them. If you've got an airbrush, smashing. If you don't, you can do the Lord's own work via the medium of masking tape and a big brush with lots of bristles. You know, you can get a similar effect. Like I say, or use pre-mixed polyfiller. Bish, bash, bosh. TM, Jerry. Of course it was me. And things like, they may say in here about the posters, but if they don't, I'll give you this little tip for free now. When you've cut out and glued on a load of posters that you've got, if you want to make them look aged, you can either go in with a little bit of like a very fine sandpaper, or you know, when you've got like a label on something and you wet it and you rub it and it sort of starts to ball up, do that around the edges and it looks like it's sort of wearing into the brickwork.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Just so it looks less set on and more an actual poster that's been stuck there. So either of those work, either sand or wet and scrub. Just be aware that you will, obviously, if you do it too roughly, you'll get into the underlying paint.
Destroy your poster.
Yeah. Well, I'm not worried about destroying poster, but I'll be more worried about having to repaint the stuff beneath.
Well, that's true.
And then even things like breakages. And this happens to the best of us. With the best will in the world, occasionally you start cutting all the little sprue gates away on your MDF, and then after a while you go, you know what, though? You know, I think I just push these out. Push.
And test it.
And then something snaps. And you go,
Or you go, that's not a sprue gate. That's just, oh, sorry, that was a sprue gate. Oh, no, wait, actually it was part of the train.
Yeah.
The one for me is the door hinges you see on a lot of kits with the little hole, and it's got like less than a millimeter of wood holding the outside of the circle on the long edge, and it's just like, dink, damn it.
So yeah. So I like that this has been included. I mean, it is at the end of the day very thin wood. It's not impervious to man's inhumanity to man and wood.
Our big sausage fingers.
So actually having a bluff, you know, a little guide in there going really simple, glue it, align it, use tape to align it, and then clamp it in place like a splint. and then just walk away, come back whenever it's dry. Because PVA will do the Lord's own work to fix that for you, rectify that problem. So yeah,
very cool.
I think this is an absolute stunker of a book, and I was completely unaware that they'd done it. I knew about that because I follow the YouTube channel, and I lurk anyway around Sarissa to see what they're up to, because what else am I going to do with my time? But at some point they released this book, and I completely blanked on it, and I don't know how that happened. But I felt it worthwhile showing it to you today. And I mean, if you win one of those vouchers, you could get the book for only a tenner by Grabthar's Hammer Water Savings, and still have 40 quid left over to spend on stencils and paper and stuff.
So what I need to do is I need to make a separate account, and I need to comment.
No smurfing it, Ben.
Comment on OnTableTop, and then I can make my Wild West dreams come to life. Yay.
It's good to have a plan. Let's see how that works out for you.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Wild West, I think it's time for the news.